word in scripture where God asks us to be chiefs. But what the Bible does say is that they shall mount up on wings like an eagle and soar. Go birds, yeah. Go in the name of Jesus. If you want the strength of an eagle, lift your hands. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 3. Salvation. Thank you, Jesus. We love you so much. Happy Super Bowl Sunday. We'll see you soon.
Go birds, yeah. Go birds, yeah. Lift your hands up. Exalt him. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord. Yes, sir. Exalt him. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes. Hello. Welcome. Beautiful Tuesday. How are you?
Good, man. I'm doing good, man. I'm actually this is one of those I'm gonna just start this with a disclaimer right now. You know, real rap. This is a Super Bowl where, you know what I'm saying? This wasn't as bad as the Patriots like Seahawks Super Bowl where I really wish like nobody could have won. Like I ain't feel that way about this. I was definitely leaning more towards the Eagles because of the way that the Chiefs kind of cheated their way to where they got. But, you know, I'm not ultra happy about the Eagles getting a Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? No hate though. You know what I'm saying? I don't dislike it. I'm just kind of meh about it. So yeah, that's what I'll say. So I'm feeling all right, dude. You know what I'm saying? I'm feeling all right.
Hey, man. Bird Gang won. You should be happy. You should be proud. You should.
Me? Why should I be happy? That's what I want to know. Why should I be happy?
Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. You know what I mean? Well,
Yeah,
because
Lord.
we was able to do something that you couldn't. You know, something
Um, that,
something that you could not do. You went twice and couldn't get it done. We went twice, learned from our mistake, got it done for you.
nah,
You're
you didn't
welcome.
do anything for us. Number one.
You're
Number two.
welcome.
number two.
You're
Number two.
welcome. You're
There is no you're welcome.
welcome. Where's the rock when you need him?
You know what I'm saying? Probably where he should be, out of this business. You know what I'm saying? But nah, man, like, the Eagles beat the Chiefs does nothing for me. It's not like he's stealing away the legacy of Joe Montana. That's already kind of been Joe Montana has already been overshadowed. The Chiefs would have done nothing to me as a Niners fan. Now, as an NFL football fan, it would have absolutely cheapened the experience of watching the team three-peat. I
Yeah.
don't even care if they would have, even if the refs stayed out of it like they did and the Chiefs won the game, Mark, I still would have looked at it as an asterisk Super Bowl because of how they got there. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, I would have gained nothing from the Chiefs winning the three-peat. I would have lost nothing other than just as an NFL fan, I would have lost my faith in the league. You know what I'm saying? Um, but y'all
See,
beating them has
Rob, why
stopped
you
that.
always have to say something so ridiculous?
What? Oh, you talking about Rob? What's Rob in here talking about, man? What you in here talking about, Rob? Rob, you always on one, brother. You always on one, man. So Brady, Montana, Peyton, and then Mahomes, bro. Like, do you want to jump into that part of it right now, Mark, or you want to
No,
wait? Because
no, no. I wanna soak it in. I wanna absorb it for a second. You know?
nonsense, bro. Like the Lakers Mickey Mouse title, man. Look, all that shit is cute, man. All that shit is cute, man. Look, the refs didn't cheat for the Lakers. Number one. Number two, I'll tell you this. It, you know what, Mark? I have to address Rob at this point because I'm tired of him talking crazy on our show. Rob, are you mad because I noticed you upset with the Chiefs. Now you're upset with the, you know what I'm saying? Like you got a personal thing against Mahomes because he's coming for Brady. Look, you mad because they got their cheating handed to them. Y'all had to get y'all cheating out of the mud. You know what I'm saying? Y'all had to
You
get
had
y'all
to
cheating
do it
out of the mud.
yourself.
You know what I'm saying? Y'all actually had to go get your hands dirty with your cheating. You know what I'm saying? You don't like it because now the league is cheating for them. You know what I'm saying? It's like, dog, if you're gonna cheat, go get it out the mud. I mean, I can see why you'd be upset about that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, yeah, go ahead, laugh it up, Rob. Go ahead. Look, man, I'm just saying, it's weird. It's a weird hill to die on. Very strange hill to die on. You know what I'm saying? We had to cheat. We had to get it out the mud. We had to get our hands dirty. We had to deflate those footballs. We had to go send somebody to the opposing team's Super Bowl run through. You know what I'm saying? We did that. We didn't have to rely on the zebras. You know what I'm saying? I guess if that's the stance you want to take, Rob, you're more than welcome to. You know, it's a free country.
Hey, I'm gonna say this, man. Hey, what up, Troy? Welcome in. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and rewind to the beginning. You'll enjoy it. Trust me, you'll enjoy it. Um, but yeah, listen, man. It was a beautiful day, beautiful Sunday. Eagles took care of business. As you guys can see, I'm wearing our previous championship hat because I have not went and gotten my new one to add to my championship collection. You know what I mean? Hey, man, the Eagles is doing it. Within 10 years, they got two of them. That's what I'm talking about. Whole new squad doing, doing the damn thing. Like only like what, three people? Three, four people? Three, yeah, about three people left from that previous Super Bowl or whatever. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
no, this
So
is a new team. This is a new team. It's a new coaching staff. Everything's new. You know. So, yeah, shout out to Eagles. It sounds crazy when you say, "Oh, 2 and 10 years," bro. It's the NFL, man. It's the NFL. Getting 2 and 10 years and then them being two totally different squads is it's difficult, man. It's difficult. Um,
yeah, man. You
yeah,
said defense came a long way from
the
the
Falcons they game at Dave
yeah,
and Buster's. Hey, look,
absolutely.
the defense kept. I told Mark, we spoke about this. I said I don't know if it's just me, but it seems like the defense is getting better every week, and it felt like they continued that even throughout the playoffs. They looked better and better every week throughout the playoffs. Even like I know people might look at that Washington game and look and say, "Man, I know they were playing defense, but it didn't. You know, it might not have looked crazy dominant at that point." People don't understand how good. I think some people don't understand how good that Washington offense has been all season. So, but yeah, so nah, man. Shout out to the Eagles defense. Shout out to that front four. Shout out to yeah, they didn't have to blitz, and that's something that we're going to talk about when we break down the game. I don't know where Mark went, but I can tell you right now, we seen what it looks like when you can rush four and get pressure. When you can rush four and get pressure that way, it changes everything. We watched Cam Newton and his Panthers get obliterated. Like defensively, I should say, the game score was close, but defensively, they destroyed the Panthers in that Super Bowl. The Broncos did. Von Miller and them boys. They was rushing four most of the game. Not the whole game, but most of the game. And even when they sent extra, it was like five guys, not four. We seen what the Giants did to Tom Brady the first time they beat him in the Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? We seen it. Like that front four, shout out to Justin Tuck. That man looked like he was everywhere inside the backfield. He was living back there. But yeah, man, and I want to say this, I don't want to just say with four, right? When you look at a four-man rush being blocked by five people, and on a normal day, You see two people get in. If two people get in on a four-man rush, that's a long day for the quarterback. Watching four people get in on a four-man rush is an extremely long day for a quarterback, and that's what happened this time. I don't think I've seen all four guys completely dominating whoever they were going up against. I don't think I've ever seen nothing like that. Like I said, the Giants. It was like, okay, Justin Tuck was living in the backfield. When you watch the Broncos Super Bowl, it was Von Miller mostly living in the backfield. Other guys were eating too. You know what? They had Demarcus Ware, you know. So they had a couple guys, but you see one guy or maybe another guy or maybe two at once, right? But seeing all four guys at the same time simultaneously beating their guy to get into the backfield, there's absolutely nothing you can do about that. There's absolutely nothing you can do about that. Yeah. So when you say they didn't have to blitz, it's more than just they didn't have to blitz. You know what I mean? It was just they got dominated as if it was me and Mark out there blocking for them. Okay? Totally different game.
Hey man, listen. Back as at one point I would have been able to put up a little charge, you know what I mean? Wax on, wax off, push, push. I would have been able to do a little bit of something back in the day. Not today.
Look, I'm just saying, didn't look like they was doing nothing. So they couldn't handle it, man. This is interesting, Mark. And I'm sorry, I'm gonna keep talking about this because when you guys kept drafting these freakish athletes to be part of that front seven, Mark, it has been disappointing. Let's be honest, it's been disappointing up until this point with the production or what we thought it would look like, right? This is what we thought it would look like, or this is what we thought it should look like eventually at some point in time. And I feel like when I watched games last year and I watched games the year before, even when remember the year that y'all had all them sacks, it was just like, okay, it's Hassan Reddick going off. But this is what I expected this defensive line to look like when all these guys were getting drafted. Um, the scary thing to me as a Niners fan or as a team, as a fan of a team that plays in the NFC that has to go through the Eagles to get to the Super Bowl is they they're all young, man. This core defensive front is going to stay together. Like when you can't pay anybody, guess who you're going to pay? You're going to pay these guys up front. And if this is just the beginning, they're only going to get better. That's the scary part about it. They're young, they have time. Um, it's not a cap situation going on right now. You know what I'm saying? So right now, this is the scariest team to play against right now if you don't have your ducks in a row offensive line wise. Absolutely. And we ain't even get into the secondary and all that nonsense. So yeah, nah, this is a problem. This is gonna be a long-term problem. This isn't a fluke. This isn't a fluke year. None of that stuff, man. So
Well,
shout out to the Eagles organization for killing it in these drafts and getting all this young talent. You know what I'm saying? And these are guys that are like Cooper is not just a dude that's playing good for a rookie, man. Like he's playing good for a guy in the league. You know what I mean? So same thing with Mitchell. Mitchell is playing at the top of the league. These aren't just guys that are good rookies. So, all
all
right,
right.
man, I'm gonna let you cook, man. This your show, man. I'm gonna let you cook.
All right, listen. So, all right, you gave me a good place to start. So, as we all know, the Eagles won and they did their thing, blew the team out. But you gave me a good place to start because
Mhm.
the trail to this point has been rocky. It's been rough. Um, that and so we are here now, and what you see is this great team, and it's like shout out to Howie Roseman, and it's like that's great. Shout out to Howie Roseman, but let's be honest. Before, like there has been a lot of learning with these guys. These guys are learning from their mistakes. They are learning from their past, and they are changing and evolving and not being stubborn to their beliefs at this point, which is beautiful because
Hmm.
prior we watched many years of Howie Roseman trying to find the diamond in the rough guy, trying to find the Jalen Ragers versus the instead of just getting the Justin Jeffersons.
The
We,
obvious choices, yeah.
yeah, we watched him do this for many years. You know what I'm saying? We watched that for many years, and then he started to after the Jalen Hurts year. But
Yeah.
then it was Devonta. Then it was the Devonta Smith. The what I mean, like I actually had a picture somewhere that
Yeah.
showed the first 3 rounds of every year has been killers because it was like Devonta Smith, Milton Williams, and then you have the other year where it was Sidney Brown, Devonta Smith, Lander Dickerson, and Milton Williams, and then the next year was um, Cam Jurgens, Jordan Davis, N'Kobe Dean, and then the next year obviously was Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith, um, and they got Keely Ringo later, right? So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. You mind if I interject for a half a second
sure.
here? I also just wanted to add that the move that y'all made to get AJ Brown is not a move that he would have made in the past.
No,
If
it's not.
like if AJ like the move that y'all would have made in the past is what the Bears did. Y'all would have went after Keenan Allen, an older receiver, a vet, somebody that you could get for a little bit cheaper. You wouldn't have went after an AJ Brown. So shout out to that too.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that you are absolutely correct. Like everything that he's done up to this point has been like as of the
Aggressive.
last 5 years has been really good as far as the drafting wise. And then
Mhm.
Nick Sirianni, he's learning how to not be on 11 all the time, bring himself down and everything. And we watched him evolve as a coach. We're watching the team and their philosophy evolve because we watched them trying to force the pass and run when they can versus this year they're like, nah, man, we got a dog, run the ball. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we have a dog, run the ball. Like, we had to go through a lot of rough stuff for them to get to this point. Like, if we won in 22, I don't believe we have Keon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean if we win in 22.
Yeah.
Because but we had to lose in 22. We had to lose last year and go through and watch that secondary be terrible. We had to go through those
You
growing pains.
needed that. Because you
We
would
had
have
to,
thought
we,
everything was fine, Mark. You would have thought
yeah,
everything was fine. Oh, we won, so we don't need to change anything.
right. I mean, let's not forget he let CJ Gardner Johnson walk so he could keep James Bradbury. Like that
Hmm.
so these things happened, but the mistake happened and he was able to learn and thankfully he was able to correct his mistake and go out there and do something about it.
Let me interject one more time. Sorry, there's just so much that y'all did, right? So number one, being able to admit a mistake and going back and getting CJ is big, right?
Yes.
A lot of GMs wouldn't do that, right? So then also I would like to point out there was a graphic that came up during the Super Bowl. It said the average size of the offensive line for the Eagles is 6'6", 338 pounds.
Hmm.
That's by design, okay? Whether you're drafting these players, people talk about Becton. I know you had a thing for Becton. Well, I'm saying a video that was talking about his journey and how he ended up on the Eagles and all that stuff. Like that's somebody that somebody other teams might have looked at and say, okay, maybe he's okay, but I don't really. No, I said no. We have a specific goal in mind. We are going to bring him over here, and we're going to make him fit into what we do. Okay, he's perfect for what we want to do. All right, and the only reason why I wanted to bring up that stuff is because the it's not a surprise as to why you're able to run. Okay, you got 5 bullies on the line. Okay, when it comes to run blocking, that looks like what we used to do in the beginning of the Kyle Shanahan era. You know what I mean? Except for your guys are bigger, they're more athletic, they're stronger, all that stuff, right? And I'm bringing this up only because this is another conversation. I don't want to talk about it now, but the the way teams have to build their defenses, it has to change. It's going to change. We talked about the effect of the running game in running backs returning and saying these guys got to change. It's been a long time since the NFL has had a team that had a bunch of big offensive line on it. Nobody has guys that big all across the offensive line. You guys are the only team. But you can't have Nick Bosa at 258 pounds at defensive end if you plan on stopping the run. Okay, this is going to change. This is bigger than just the Super Bowl win. It's going to change the way that defenses are built in the NFC.
Yeah. No, and there's so much more to it because we watched Jordan Davis be on the team. Like this is Jordan Davis' third year.
Hmm.
This is his third year. And this is the first time he's been featured within the defense. We
Yes,
watched we watched N'Kobe Dean be on the team. Nolan
this is the
Smith.
first time I've seen him utilized
Yeah,
correctly.
we watched N'Kobe Dean be on the team. We watched Nolan Smith be on the team, and they weren't utilized at all. We watched this team continuously employ the older veterans, and it's nothing wrong with the older veterans. I enjoy Fletcher Cox's career. What I don't enjoy is Fletcher Cox taking away playing time from the young guys who are clearly faster, a little bit stronger, and they're not getting the learning that they need to do in real time because they have to share the field with these older guys. I'm not a fan of Vic Fangio's scheme, but what I am a fan of about Vic Fangio is he clearly said, I'm going to play the best guy out here. I'm going to play. I don't care if he's a rookie. I don't care how old he is. I don't care if he's undersized. I don't care. I am playing the best guy out here. I don't care how much we're paying this guy. Oh, we're paying Bryce Huff? Who gives a shit? Bryce Huff sucks right now. I'm playing Nolan Smith. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
I want to also add a lot of these rookie DBs don't get started, Mark. Let's be real. Unless you're Jalen Ramsey, you don't get started, man. Day
yeah.
one.
This is why, like, that's what I was saying. The next thing is not playing Isaiah Rodgers. Like the plan was originally for it to be Isaiah Rodgers, Avonte Maddox, and then Keon and them would come in at some point. By the time the season started, they was like, no, Keon's the starter. Cooper is going to play. Like this is what we are doing. We're like, it doesn't matter. Now, previous regimes, previous coaches said, oh, this is the veteran. I'm playing the veterans. A lot of coaches in the league do not believe in starting rookies. Kyle Shanahan is one said coach that does not believe he don't believe in it. You have said it yourself. Like that's not something that they really do over there. So the fact that the Eagles were willing to do it shows like I'm just going to play the best, and this is what the Eagles have come up. Yeah,
Yeah, that was a good point. Williams.
Milton Williams has been on the team for 4 years now, and look at him. Like dog, the dude's a beast, and he's been not getting the shine.
Yeah, in a normal situation, he wouldn't have seen the field at all for the entire season unless somebody got hurt or needed a breather. That's just the normal situation
Right.
that he was in prior to this year.
Yeah, and now we are actually seeing like, no, I'm going to play the guys that are good on the team.
Mhm.
And that's just what it is. And so that's where Vic Fangio gets all the credit for me is because he said, I'm playing the personnel, bro. I don't care about what's going on over here. I'm playing the personnel. And it showed in the Super Bowl. The Eagles shined in the Super Bowl. Like they shined in that area. They shined in the area of Kellen Moore. Hey, I know that they're stopping the run right now. We're getting 1 yard, 2 yard, whatever. No, that's our identity though. We're not gonna shy away from it and start doing dumb stuff. We're gonna pass. We're gonna pass and take what they give us, but we still ran the ball 25 times.
Yeah, yeah. I
What other
want
team you know is still running the ball 25 times, getting 2 yards a carry?
to not pretty much no team, Mark. And I want to just point out it's not just saying this is our identity. It's understanding
Right,
why it's your identity. It's your
right.
identity because it makes teams focus on trying to shut down Saquon, which opens up the passing game. We know that Jalen Hurts is great. We know that AJ Brown and Devonta Smith are great. You know what makes them better? You know what makes their job easier is when they can pick apart the defense or take their shots because the defense is solely focused on trying to stop Saquon. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't like this is why that's your identity. And you understood that and said, even though we're not getting the yards, this is us continuing to run a ball is going to make everything open. If you look, Mark, it's not like y'all were dropping back and just throwing a bunch of bombs.
Yeah,
It was one bomb here. Now we in the red zone. One bomb here. Now we in the red zone. One bomb here. That's a touchdown. Like it specifically happened because of the way you guys the play calling went, the
yeah.
way the game script went, and continuing to run the ball and take the short stuff. That's what opened up the deep passes that you guys were able to make. And Jalen made some great passes, man.
Jalen
But yeah,
was
go ahead.
phenomenal. Jalen was phenomenal. That's just
Yeah,
it.
no, that's one of the Mark. He played great in the last Super Bowl, right? He was asked to do more in the last Super Bowl, and he
Yeah,
did everything that he was asked to do, right? This Super Bowl, the level of efficiency that he played with was better than what he did last Super Bowl, and he played great last Super Bowl. Last Super Bowl, if you look at it on film, last Super Bowl is going to look better than this Super Bowl, right? But I honestly think the level of efficiency, the the peak accuracy that he was throwing with in this Super Bowl, to me, is crazy, especially when you're asked to go out there and just throw every once in a while, and you're not, you don't really get warmed up. You're not throwing 45 times. It's like, hey, when we ask you to make this play, you need to make it, and he made every single play that he was asked to make in this game. So
hey,
shout out to Jalen Hurts.
yes, shout out to Jalen Hurts. And
Yeah,
listen, and I think that's a good point to start with the Jalen Hurts praise because not too bad for a guy that supposedly can't pick up a blitz, right? And he can't pick up a blitz. And like, you know what I mean? Like, we're not going to do an X's and O thing today. So don't
yeah.
look for that from us. What I will say though, what I was looking for from this team is I was looking for them to show like, oh, where you doubt us, that's where we're going to shine. And that's exactly what they did. They was like, oh, and shout out to the Chiefs for taking away Saquon at all. Like for doing that, kudos to them. But
They
Jalen,
played it very well.
but like for Jalen Hurts, they was like, nah, man, Jalen Hurts ain't nothing. We got this. We got this. Wrong. Wrong. Steve Speck, this is one of the reasons why I say Jalen Hurts is number 2 at quarterback in the league. Because everybody wants to say Josh Allen. Well, everybody wants to say Josh Allen
I'm not.
is better, right? They want to say Josh Allen is better. He may have a better arm. He may pass it around more. Sure. But hey, they went up against Steve Spagnuolo. We went up against Steve Spagnuolo. Only one team picked up the blitz consistently throughout the game. Only one team did it.
He
Now,
was able to identify something, Mark.
like you know what I mean. So he was able to he was able to identify something. He was able to figure out something. He was able to pick up the timing somewhere. You know what I mean? There, that's the difference, man. He's able to do something that you can't. It doesn't show up on the stat sheet, but it shows up in the W. Where where Lamar Jackson will push and continue to try to go for that extra yard, or where Josh Allen would try to go for that extra yard when running.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen is like, no, I'm gonna just take what you give me and I'm gonna slide. Don't worry. Don't worry, you're not gonna hit me. You're not gonna knock me out for the game or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna take what I
Hey,
need to slide, baby.
it's an
I'll be out the
underrated.
way.
It's an underrated trait, man. Um, this is something that we praised. Me and you both have praised Pat Mahomes
Yes.
for in the past. He just knows how he's going to get his yards and he's going to take it. He's going to go out of bounds. He's going to slide. He's going to do all these things. It's something that we've constantly praised Pat Mahomes for. There's a reason why we praise guys like that. Yes, he could go out there and try to get the extra 2 yards. Yeah, look, man, so many QBs get injured that way. So many QBs get injured that way, right? I've seen too many of my QBs get injured that way. And it's sickening when you see somebody like Jimmy G get injured that way. You're not a running quarterback, but you're trying to get an extra yard on a run. You know what I'm saying? So
We watched Tua. We watched Tua run
yeah,
straight up the middle of the field, get destroyed.
boy is looking like a zombie on the ground. You know what I'm saying? Like it was like, what are you doing going helmet to helmet with guys out there? What are you doing, man? Like I'm a Niners fan. We lost Steve Young forever because of the shit that he was doing out there. Okay, but yes, it's when you're a very competitive person, an ultra competitive person, right? When you're a competitor, the you guys don't understand like how hard it is to have the discipline to say I'm only going to take right? You've seen it with every single competitor that you can think of. When you think of a guy like Cam Newton, who never shied away from contact, when you think of a smaller guy like Mike Vick, that was always trying to get the extra yard, you can just go down a long list of competitors that knew they were athletically better than everybody, right? You look at Lamar Jackson. He's never seen an opportunity to get an extra yard that he didn't want to take. Okay, so and it's cost him games. You know,
Yeah.
so
And the
the
one
difference.
time, and sorry, but the one time that he did try to do that, which was last season, where he tried to be like, okay, I'm not going to run as much or whatever.
Mhm.
He doesn't know when to turn it on and off. Like,
Yes,
because he rolls out the pocket, the yardage he needs for the first
there.
down is 2 yards ahead of him. He
Yeah,
stops and throws the ball instead of running the 2 yards for the first down.
yeah.
Like, that thought process of getting what is needed and knowing the tool to use to get what is needed is not there for Lamar Jackson.
It's not
And
the
that's the
discernment. The discernment to figure out which situation to do it, which one not to do it, is not there.
right, because we watched that in the playoffs last season. Not this season, but we watched that in the playoffs last season. Like, we watch these situations. We watch Josh Allen continuously come up short. We watch him knowing that he has a guy on the drag and he sees the blitz coming all of a sudden. Instead of like, oh, let me hurry up and throw it to my check down because I only need 5 yards, he launches it to unknown space hoping that somebody's down there. And it just so
Yeah,
happened that Dallas Goddard, I mean, not Dallas Goddard, but Kincaid,
Dawson Knox.
Dalton Kincaid was down there.
Was it Kincaid? Oh, it was Kincaid, not Knox. My bad. Kincaid. Yeah. So, real quick, Mark. The reason why I brought up that comment, from Rob saying something about McDuffie out there getting cooked. I want to be very clear about this. I don't think McDuffie was getting cooked. McDuffie was playing great defense, but it was the passing of Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, the
Look,
back
even
shoulder.
like
Like,
even when you look at the play, like in the beginning in the first quarter, where
The offensive PI.
Yeah, the offensive pass interference. Was that AJ or that was AJ
That was
Brown,
AJ.
right? Yeah,
Yes.
he was on him. Okay, he was there. Okay, there's a reason why he mushed him. Okay, he was there. You know what I'm saying? But even with the mush, even with him being there, you saw that the ball was, even if he didn't get mushed, there was no chance of him uh, to break up that pass. The ball was just perfectly placed, man. So I don't think McDuffie was getting cooked. I think that Jalen Hurts was just making great passes. You have to. What I don't want to do, Mark, and this is something that me and you've been adamant about. Certain things, right? We talk about how certain interceptions shouldn't be blamed on the quarterback. So certain interceptions is on the wide receiver. It's not the quarterback, right?
Hmm.
Sometimes there's something wild that happens and it has nothing to do with the QB. The same way that we don't want to blame a QB for every single interception that happens, because that's not like everything isn't as black and white as that. Just because there was yardage and there was catches being made on McDuffie does not mean that McDuffie was playing bad defense. Every time I saw a catch that happened on him, he was on him. He was on the receiver,
Right.
whether it was Devonta Smith or whether it was AJ Brown. He wasn't. I don't believe he was getting cooked, but that's just me. We have to give Jalen Hurts credit for that.
100%. 100%. Now, um, what I will say though, um, again, Jalen Hurts, man, phenomenal. Like you watch the back, like I said, you watch the back shoulder pass, putting it where only his guys can get it.
Yeah.
Only his guys can get it. Nobody else. We watched that, and that was okay. Yeah.
I got a comparison later, but I'm gonna let you say something before I give my Jalen Hurts comparison.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, you might not like it, but this is what I see. Um, I know there's been a lot of criticism of Jalen Hurts when it comes to him passing deep, which is really weird because I felt like it's something that he's been able to do his entire career, even in college. Um, But just over the last few years, I'm saying the last 3 seasons, Mark, from what I saw, from what I've seen, and the body of work that Jalen Hurts has put out here, I personally think that what you get with Jalen Hurts is what you get from Russell Wilson, except for you get pocket passing. For years, we watched Russ be that guy outside of the pocket. We watched him be that guy. Like, I still think Russ is one of the best deep ball throwers in the league. We watched him do all those things. We watched him convert on broken plays and all these things, right? And he's a guy that also would take whatever yards you give him and then slide or get out of bounds, right? I look at the similarities, the big arm, all that stuff, because I don't know why people question Jalen Hurts' arm either. But either way, I look at all those things and I say the one thing that anybody that had Russ wishes is that he could just be a pocket passer from time to time. And I feel like Jalen Hurts is I don't want to say phenomenal, Mark, right? I don't want to be a prisoner of the moment, but Jalen Hurts is a good pocket passer. He can make all the same throws that he's able to make outside the pocket. He can make them inside the pocket, is what I'll say.
Yeah.
And he showed that in the Super Bowl. So
Like,
and that might be a controversial take because we know what Russ has been able to do, but I can't ignore what I see, Mark. I can't ignore that I'm seeing a guy who I don't want to say he doesn't have weaknesses because what I've seen over the past few years is a guy who sometimes gets in his own head,
hmm
which is a fair criticism. And if that happens, then we don't know what kind of production you're going to get. You don't know what kind of mistakes he's going to make. You don't know what type of hesitations he's going to have. But when he's not in his own head, I see a guy who can throw outside the pocket. He can throw inside the pocket. He can make the check down throws. He can throw like anywhere on the field that you need him to throw the ball, he's capable of doing it. Maybe there's people that are better than him, right? Throwing short passes or throwing medium passes or being able to rifle it in. There might be guys that are better at each individual part of that, but I don't know if there's not very many people in the league that I see that can do all of the things that
Yeah,
Jalen Hurts does.
that's
As
the.
combined,
This
as a
is the
combination.
main reason why I have him at 2. He is the most well-rounded QB in the NFL currently. Like now, Burrow. You can say Burrow, and I'm okay with that. But you know my stance on
You have
availability.
questions about his discernment.
Yeah,
So which is a double-edged sword. That's what makes him great, but it's also what puts you at risk. It's I don't want to call it Brett Favre. I would say it's more so specific to your complaints. It's more so like who did I say before? I said Troy Aikman. Troy Aikman is absolutely going to stand in that pocket and he can see somebody barreling down on him and he's going to stand there and he's going to throw the ball. It's also what caused Troy Aikman to have a short career. Right now, I mean, you can project that Joe Burrow is going to have a short career if he continues to get injured every season like this, right? So that becomes a problem. It's like it's great that we got Troy Aikman, but if he's only going to play 8 seasons, then what does it? Then what does
right,
it mean to us as an organization? We got to win now every year, right? So that is a problem. I don't like I said. I didn't want to go with Brett Favre. I think Brett Favre has proven to be not him himself, but his body is obviously tougher than Joe Burrow's body. So we can't. I didn't want to make that comparison. So to me, Troy Aikman, just when it comes to saying, "Look, I'm going to stand in the pocket no matter what," and that's my superpower. It doesn't matter what kind of pressure is coming in. It don't matter that our offensive line gave up the most sacks in the season. I'm still going to stay in here and make that play in the fourth quarter with a bunch of guys coming at me. You know what I'm saying? So it's a gift and a curse with Joe Burrow.
right. Yeah, man. It's but yeah. But Jalen Hurts, man, he's the one with the ring. The rest of the guys don't got it. So you got to put respect on his name and continuing on to getting off the Jalen Hurts stuff. Like Saquon Barkley, man. Uh, Saquon Barkley wasn't able to make it into the end zone, but he was able to make an impact all the same in this game. Saquon Barkley is truly a one of one. Like people will point to Derrick Henry, like, well, Derrick Henry. No, Saquon Barkley is one of one. Derrick Henry could do all the run stuff that Saquon could do, and he's developed into a fairly good pass catcher.
Yeah,
He's developed into a fairly good pass catcher as well. But when it comes to that, pass blocking, when it comes to that blocking in general, Saquon gets after it. Saquon is an unselfish. Yes, you are right.
it's funny you just say that. Yeah,
Saquon and Smitty are the most unselfish teammates we have. Like the fact that is one of the beautiful things about the Eagles right now is that they have some of the best mixture of personalities in the NFL. You got guys, you got the stoic Jalen Hurts that sometimes it pisses me off how he doesn't get too high or too low.
real
And
quick. This is the most excitement that I've ever seen out of him in these last 2 or 3 weeks and within the playoffs. Actually, you ain't never seen him smile this much, Mark.
right.
But go
Devonta
ahead. Yeah.
like Devonta Smith has had to play Robin since AJ got here. Doesn't complain. And shout out to the Eagles for understanding Devonta Smith's value despite the fact that AJ Brown takes up a lot of room. And AJ Brown and Devonta had to take a step back to Saquon this season, and they was like, "Dog, we winning games," and you could see it messed with AJ Brown a little bit. That's why he was reading the book Inner Excellence. He was reading the book to keep himself focused and within the game.
Yeah.
It looks wild for sure. It looks crazy. We never seen it before. But whatever keeps you from spazzing out on the QB or spazzing out on the offensive coordinator and keeping you focused for your moment,
Yeah.
then do it.
Yeah.
And
Go ahead.
but back to Saquon. Like Saquon, he played like his blocking came up big on the Jahan Dotson pass.
Yes.
On the Jahan Dotson pass in the Super Bowl. Saquon Barkley was on a pass blocking assignment. His assignment was the middle linebacker or the left guy, because I think they might have been a nickel. But
Yeah.
his guy was the guy on the left. The guy on the left bluffed blitz and then backed into coverage. But the guy on the right actually came in. Saquon recognized that. He saw it and immediately said, "Okay, find where I need to be blocking. Where do I need to go now?" And he went over, picked up the outside linebacker, and that's where Jalen Hurts was able to deliver that strike to Jahan.
And
That's not possible without Saquon.
I want to be clear. Saquon was on the left side of the formation.
Yes.
At the time, right? So he had to come across the formation in front of the quarterback, and you got to be careful not to run into the quarterback.
Right.
You know, and we've seen too many situations where a lineman steps on a quarterback's foot or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So he has to make sure that he's not blocking his path of vision and everything. He took the blitzer, the free pass rusher, completely out of the play. Like Jalen Hurts was able to hold on to the ball for an extra like 2 seconds. And that's like the point that I want to make. He didn't just pick up the block or chip him to slow him down. Like Jalen Hurts, if he would have held on to the ball for another,
if he held on to the ball for another half a second, he would have been able to deliver that into the end zone.
He still would have been able to deliver that pass. Is the point I'm trying to make. Like Jalen Hurts had all the time that he wanted at that point. You know, once the block was picked up. So in everybody's seen what it looks like when Spags is able to get off the shit that he wants to get off. It looks crazy. It looks crazy because there's just guys flying in at the quarterback from all types of different directions. Everybody's blitzing. They're faking like they're blitzing. They're dropping back into coverage. You got defensive linemen dropping back into coverage. You got all kind of crazy stuff going on when Spags is out there calling his blitzes, man. Like when you talk about I know we praised the Vikings and we praised what's their defensive coordinator? Flores. We praised Flores for some of the disguised blitzes that he had. They might not have been Spags might not be as elaborate at times as Brian Flores was during the season, but Spags, his blitzes are difficult to pick up for experienced quarterbacks, right? So to be able to pick everything up in one game in a Super Bowl is insane because I've never seen Spags shut out like this, Mark, is what I will say. I've never seen him shut out like this for the entirety of a game. So shout out to Saquon, shout out to Jalen Hurts. But the Saquon picking up those blitzes, you're not gonna see it talked about on the mainstream sports shows. You're not gonna hear about it. But
it's more than just picking up the blitzes. It's also the fact that this dude is out there like lead blocking. He's out there lead blocking on runs, like and setting up. Jalen Hurts, some of his bigger runs were because Saquon wasn't just not just chipping the guy,
taking him out
the play. This guy's gone.
The other thing I wanted to speak about when it comes to the unselfishness, people forget Devontae Smith was a Heisman winner as a wide receiver. That doesn't happen very often, man.
Playing the number 2.
Yeah, Devontae Smith's comparison which sounds crazy as well. His comparison coming out of college was Jerry Rice. Okay, you get a Jerry Rice comparison, and you're a Heisman winner. You know what I'm saying? You expect to be the number one receiver at all times. His unselfishness is huge, right? A lot of the reasons why teams don't go back to back, a lot of the reasons why teams don't last forever is because the head coach, the front office, the organization has to manage the personalities, right? There's too many stars on this team. We watched what happened with Seattle when they didn't hand the ball off to Marshawn. It instantly became everybody on the defense versus the head coach, right? Immediately, there was a separation there, right? And then you had the individual players on the defense that wanted their money. Brandon Browner didn't stay with the Seahawks because he wanted his payday. He left and went to the Patriots. Because he's like, no, I'm one of the best DBs in the league. You can't. It comes to a point where you can't make everybody happy, and it's very difficult to manage. Look at the Niners. Debo saying, "I'm out, bro." He said, "I'm requesting the trade." You
Well,
know,
you can. Here's the thing, man.
like,
You can make everybody happy if if there's a level of unselfishness that says
yes, if the yeah,
I'm gonna leave meat on the bone for everybody. Like
yes, but
Jalen Hurts' contract was a phenomenal contract, but the way that it was structured left meat on the bone so other people can eat. Patrick Mahomes, phenomenal contract. But
yes,
the way
let
but the
me know.
way that he structured it so
Mhm.
that it could be restructured when needed and all that stuff, it left meat on the bone so that if when they need it for Chris Jones to come back, they got it. That's that's what's needed. That's what's required.
Yes,
That's
yes,
what's required for you to have a great team.
yeah,
Like and when your quarterback is doing that, it trickles down to the rest of the teammates so that AJ Brown don't need the largest payday. He just needs the payday and Devonta Smith can eat. You know what I
yeah,
mean? They now we both can eat together. We don't have to be
yeah.
separate.
Well, the one thing I wanted to point out is it's it's not unusual to have a guy, right? We watched the Patriots, right? Tom Brady was a guy. He was one that said, whatever money that needs to be left on the table for us to eat, I'll leave it. You look at guys like Revis who spent time there that said, I'm leaving because you guys won't pay me. The
Right.
Patriots have had many of players that said, I'm leaving because you won't pay me. We seen the Steelers organization. Everybody's not Heinz Ward. You know what I'm saying? There's plenty of guys that came through the Steelers organization that left because they felt like they wanted their bread, right? It's difficult to get multiple of your best players on one team that are, whether it's them buying into it or whether it's just built into who they are. It's very difficult to have multiples of those types of players on your team. And right now, Devontae Smith has been humble since day one. Jalen Hurts has been humble. Thinking about where he got drafted, bro, he's been humble since day one. Um,
Devonta
AJ
Smith.
Brown might have taken a little bit of time to come around, but he came around. Okay, so you when you have and Saquon has been one of the highest character skill position players that we've ever seen from day one. Okay, we already knew what Saquon was about even before he got drafted. Okay, he's been one of those guys, so it's not a surprise to me that Saquon is able to sacrifice and everything, right? Through all the bullshit that the Giants put him through, he was still willing to stay. Okay, so we know he's a high character guy, but having four and they're all your star players all on the same squad, everybody else has to fall in line, Mark.
Yeah.
So that's a rare thing to have, man. I
And
just
speaking of
it,
Devonta Smith, um, Devonta Smith joins one of five. He is now number 5 of when it comes to players that has achieved a Heisman, a
mhm,
national title, and the Super Bowl.
yeah,
There's only 5 players that's ever done it, and that's Charles Woodson, Tony Dorsett, Reggie Bush, and Maurice uh Comet. What not? But Maurice. I don't think that's right, but I don't know
No, it's
who.
not. It's not. Yeah.
It's Maurice something, but I can't think of his last name right now.
Like, but I want the people to also understand, and this is just off the top of my head, Mark. Um, it- this is off the top of my head. There's not even that many players that have won a Heisman, right, in a national championship that's been to a Super Bowl, right?
Right,
Cam Newton is like one of those guys, and I think that's like one of like 12. Like you're not even like even just being in the Super Bowl, it's a difficult process to have all of those accolades and then end up in a Super Bowl.
right.
So yeah, shout out to Devontae Smith. That's a special thing that you can have on your resume that nobody else has, man.
Yeah, there's a lot of special moments in the Super
Yeah.
Bowl. Cooper DeJean. I mean, this is a LeBron stat. It's a
Yeah.
LeBron stat line, but it is a stat line all
Here
the
we go. I
same.
know what you're about to say
The
too.
only player to get a pick six in the Super Bowl on his birthday. Like, yeah,
That's a LeBron stat. Well, here's a better stat. Uh, in the first at the end of the first half, Pat Mahomes had more passing yardage to Cooper DeJean
than
than
any
he
other.
did his own team.
Right.
Right? He had what was it? I want to say it was like 38 yards
Yeah,
to
it was
him.
like
He
a
had
34
20. He had
yard
24
pick
total
six.
passing yards. He had 24 total passing yards in the first half. So yeah, no, that was insane. Like you know what I mean? Like whew, man, Mark, I promise you on everything I love, man. I did not come into this thinking that I was going to or expecting to talk about how special this Eagles team is when you really look at it. But just sitting here breaking down what we saw, what we experienced, in the construct of the team, how everything kind of came together, um, it's kind of turning into that, right?
Yeah. And it should be,
And
but this is what it should be. They're your Super Bowl champions.
yeah,
So it
this is
should
what it
be.
should be, but it's not always the case during a Super Bowl winning year, Mark. So what sometimes we always say there's a lot of chance and luck that comes into play on on a Super Bowl run. There's a lot of luck and chance that comes into play when you want to repeat. What I'm trying to say is the chances of the Eagles repeating is so high because I don't feel like this was a luck and a chance situation. You know what I'm saying? This isn't a luck and chance situation. There's just so many things that were this is the point. Yeah, this is the point that I wanted to make. This is what it looks like when you have organizational structure, Mark. That offensive line didn't happen by chance.
Hmm.
Saquon, they went and got him. They said we're willing to pay him in a climate where nobody's willing to pay running backs. Okay, they went. Robert. You're right. We did say Cooper was a great pick. Love the Cooper pick. All right. But none of this is by chance, sir. That's the point I'm trying to make. The offensive line ain't by chance. Jalen Hurts ain't really by chance. Once he became the starter, they said this is what we're building around. Going and getting AJ, that's an aggressive move for the Eagles. Okay, bringing back CJ Gardner Johnson and saying we made a mistake. That's not by chance. These are all things that takes a certain level of confidence. It takes a certain level of humble. It takes a certain level of cojones, balls, whatever you want to say. Like I said, to say we're going to pay Saquon, somebody with his injury history, even though you know how great he can be, you say we're going to give him the money that he wants in a climate where nobody else is willing to do so. That's taking a chance, man. You have to give the Eagles organization credit for being willing to do the things that they were willing to do to create this team. They said we are specifically getting all these Georgia boys because we want to build a certain chemistry on defense with our front seven. That's not by accident. It's not by chance. That was intentional. So a lot of these intentional moves that they made is what led to where we are now. And like I said, have to give the Eagles organization credit for that. This is organized. This is what organizational structure looks like, Mark. And there's not very many organizations that have this level of structure to where you have the GM, you have, like you said, Vic Fangio being able to say, look, the best man wins. Simple as that. I don't care what your situation is, the best man wins. It's just a lot of unusual or uncommon things had to happen. Okay. Starting rookies from day one. I don't think Cooper is ready to play the way that he did in the Super Bowl if he didn't play all season. If he started week 7, I don't think he's at the level that he's at when he played in the Super Bowl. Mitchell, he was going to be that guy no matter what. But Cooper, he wasn't going to be. I don't think Cooper would have been at the level that he was in the Super Bowl if he started week 7, week 8, right? So everything has been uncharacteristic to the way that everybody else does in the status quo. So that's what I wanted to highlight is the Eagles win against the status quo.
Yeah, I
All
want to
season
bring
long.
this up real quick, because Troy brought it up about like Avante Maddox starting and laugh, but Avante Maddox did have a great play
He did.
in the Super Bowl, like protecting that flat. That was a great heads up play by him. So so shout out to Avante Maddox for going out there and getting some and having himself a small highlight within the Super Bowl.
Well, that's a culture thing too, Mark. You guys have built a culture to where somebody like an Avante Maddox, who was a starter, who now is asked to be a backup to rookies. You know what I'm saying? Essentially, and being said, "Hey, man, but we still need you to come in this game when we ask you to and make a play," and he's still able to do that, right? That's we just watched. We just watched a guy walk off in the middle of the game, Devondre Campbell. We watched him walk off in the middle of the game with the Niners. You know what I'm saying? These guys, people have egos. People have things that they want to accomplish as individuals, and sometimes it gets in the way. Whatever is going on culturally out there with the Eagles, you guys are doing something right. Is what I will say. He
Yeah,
doesn't make that play unless he's been comfortable in his role and empowered to make plays.
yeah, man. It was a
Yeah.
great game.
No.
Um, but dang, there was something I was going to say. Dang, and I lost it.
Hmm. Sorry, man.
It's all right. But anyway,
It'll come back to you.
yeah. So I'm just going. This is an odd transition a little bit because I kind of lost where I was headed. But in that game, we do have to talk about, like, we praise the Eagles. We praise what they were able to do throughout the season to get here. We see and we praised the plays. Oh, it was something about Devonta Smith and about the unselfish play and getting him a touchdown in the Super Bowl, but whatever. Anyway, um Pat, like, we got to talk about the other side of it. We
Yeah.
have to talk about kind of what went wrong on the other side. Because on the other side of it, like, the the Chiefs just were not there. And and listen, for argument's sake, I do believe in them being helped along throughout the season. That's just a fact. That's a fact to me. To
Yeah.
me, it's a fact. And watching them in this Super Bowl doesn't dissuade me from that thought, because throughout throughout the lead up to the Super Bowl, we have watched pretty much media and and shout out to the social media journalists for and their commentary throughout the Super Bowl lead up, and somewhat bullying the NFL through questioning about like, hey, how do you feel about the refs? You feel like there's any truth to what's being said? You feel like any this, that, and the third? Like this is a constant question that's coming at them, and it was coming at them all week, and it was coming. It came at Roger Goodell. It came at Patrick Mahomes. It came at Travis Kelce. It came.
The Chiefs owner.
Yeah, it came at Andy Reid. It came at you know what I mean? It came at the Eagles. Like everybody, so there was no way of escaping it. And shout out to the social media era, because once upon a time, without the social media era, this question could have been asked and it would have never been aired. We wouldn't have known nothing about the question.
Well, forget about it not even being aired. It might not even been asked, Mark, because
it would have only been traditional journalists.
Yeah, all these traditional journalists want to keep the relationships with the teams, with the owners, and with in order for me to make a living as a traditional journalist, I have to maintain my relationships. That's how I get my information. And if asking this question is going to possibly burn a bridge, then I won't ask the question. Right. But with the social media pressure, you know what I'm saying? You could get flushed out as well. Because the pressure of the social media and the power of social media is, hey man, we don't want to be complicit in hanging with you and rolling with you if all of your posts are now not going to get views. You know what I'm saying? I'm not feeding you no information if everybody's just going to think it's horse shit because you said it. What's your credibility? Social media era has brought about an influence and effect on a journalist's credibility, okay, in a way that we've never seen before. We've always felt like certain journalists were full of crap, but it didn't really influence it. We didn't have the influence enough to make it seen and make it known to affect dollars and cents. Now it does, okay? You can't ignore what we've been saying all season long. You can't ignore what we've been saying about the credibility and integrity of the league.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then you as a journalist, if you're not going to be taken seriously as a journalist if you don't ask the question. So yes, shout out to social media era. Go ahead.
Yeah, but and I feel like they did that in a way that it kind of bullied the NFL. And I feel like if they didn't do that, if that wasn't the case and things went silent, I feel like from now, that blowout, the Eagles would have won anyway, but it probably wouldn't have been a blowout because the refereeing would have kept it within line as much as humanly possible. But in this game, after that first offensive PI, and the crowd lights up with boos and everything, they gave the payback. They gave the payback unnecessary roughness, and then they pretty much swallowed their whistles
for the rest of the game.
I
want to make this point because it's something it's a conversation that we had in a chat with the Super Bowl. It was a legit offensive pass interference, but the problem that everybody had with it is we know without a shadow of a doubt, if that was a Chiefs player,
right,
with the hands to the face to the defensive back, it wouldn't have been called.
Yeah,
you're not
calling that against the Chiefs. You're
absolutely not calling that against the Chiefs. They would have been and then all you would have heard is, "Oh man, glad the refs are letting them play."
Yeah,
and maybe they're letting them play because it's the Super Bowl.
Yo, and real quick, man. Shout out to every Eagles fan or every person that cheered on the Eagles that went down to New Orleans to represent. That stadium.
That was the Eagles stadium.
That stadium sounded like it was at Lincoln Financial.
Yeah. Mark.
And you heard it from the very beginning. When they announced the Chiefs and you heard boo the whole way.
Yeah.
And then they announced the Eagles and you hear raucous cheers. It
Yeah.
was crazy.
Yeah, I want to be very clear, Mark, because I gave you a lot of crap last year when you was like, man, our team travels. You know what I'm saying? I gave you a lot of crap. I still felt justified in the crap that I gave you. But what I can't do, Mark, is sit here and act like this wasn't a thing, man. So whether they were all Eagles fans, whether there's some of them were Chiefs haters because of the referee situation, it don't matter. That was a crowd that was there to cheer the Eagles on, and it matters. It matters, Mark. I feel like it matters when something like that happens, when that offensive PI happens, and the entire stadium boos,
Yeah,
right? I feel like that's part of the influence on
right.
that's part of what influenced the refs. Is like, yo, the whole world is watching right now. All of the United States is watching right now. They can hear the stadium filled with boos. Yo, we can't make too many of those calls right now. We can't. You know what I'm saying? Even though they got it, even though I feel like they got it right, they knew at that moment, Mark, yo, if we want to trifle with this game, it's going to be a big problem. It's going to be a big issue. They can't do it. That to me, that let them know that they couldn't do it. So,
Taylor Swift experienced her first boo ever. Like, dog, she looked around and was like, "What's happening?"
she had the confused look. Yo, so
She never experienced that before.
this
She's
is
like, "I've only ever had people cheer for me in adoration. If
like
my face is shown, I've only ever heard cheers. What's happening right now?"
that wasn't a sarcastic. I'm
No,
confused. That
no,
was a legitimate. I'm confused. And like once because you hear the boos, they have the camera on here. She doesn't realize the camera's on here. Doesn't realize the camera's on her. Then she realizes the camera's on her, and then you can see the moment where it clicks. Like they're booing me. That like you can see where it clicks,
yeah,
Mark, and where the thought enters her mind. Like they're booing me. And she's like, that's weird. Like she had no clue how to respond to that, Mark. And then she's like, oh, I guess I'll just go back to watching the game. It's like, yo, you can tell that she's never experienced that before.
yo.
So,
And what was beautiful about it is that they didn't show Taylor Swift not another time.
mm-mm.
That was the first and last time Taylor Swift got
I was
shown.
so happy, Mark. So, real quick, what I wanted to get into, because I'm now remembering, we talked about, because I brought up the comment that Rob made about Travis Kelsey looking like a deer in headlights. Perfect comment, Mark. You know why? It, this is what happens when you have the favor of the refs all season long. There's something strange about accountability, Mark. There's something strange about it. The Chiefs they never had to face any accountability for their lack of performances during the regular season. let's let's call it what it is. Everybody kept saying, "Nah, this team ain't 15-2. This team is 15-1. They rested their starters in the last week. That loss don't count, right?" You talking about a team that went 15-1 that didn't deserve to be 15-1, Mark. Okay? They were bailed out a lot of times. Okay? You're talking about the wins that they were getting weren't dominant. They were winning by 3 points. They're winning by a last second field goal. There's a lot of games that they should not have won at all. Okay? But this is what happens. They had to flip a switch in the Super Bowl, Mark, that they hadn't flipped all season long. That's why Travis Kelsey looked like a deer in headlights, because he couldn't figure out what was going on. It's Travis. You're Travis Kelsey. You're a future Hall of Famer, first ballot, I assume. You might be able to flip that switch on, right? Not everybody else on the team can flip that switch on, especially when you're considering how young your team is. Okay? You These guys were coddled and babied all season long. Okay? Then all of a sudden they're not getting the calls that they're used to. They're not used to this. They're not used to having to work as hard as they had to in this game. All of that stuff matters. The refs, the way that they ref the games for the Chiefs during the entire course of the regular season crippled them in the way that they were crippled in this game. That's my honest opinion. That's what I believe. I believe that's the part of the reason why guys weren't able to turn things on or flip a switch. Because you would think, Mark, this is no dig at the offensive line because I just feel like they were outmatched. But I also feel like I didn't feel like there was a change in effort. Hold. This is the one time where I would say, look, you just gotta hold them. Like we didn't see no holding calls, Mark.
None. And
Like,
and the Chiefs were holding.
yeah.
Holding.
Look, I'm taking somebody to the ground, Mark. Look,
No, I watched somebody get tackled to the ground and they didn't call a penalty. I was like, that's
every
not
play though. I'm doing that every play now. Like we are getting our ass handed to. Look, I'm cheating the whole way. Like I'm not a person who condones cheating, Mark. But I would like to see some effort, right? And then to be honest with you, my biggest complaint when it comes to not being able to flip a switch in this situation goes to Patrick Mahomes. Um, he threw a lot of balls in the dirt, Mark.
Hey, real quick before we start the Patrick Mahomes thing.
Okay, go for it.
Eagles continue to set records.
I'm sorry, Mark. John's stupid, boy. He said, boy, don't like jambalaya or gumbo. He was tested for failure. I'm not gonna hold you. I love jambalaya and I love gumbo. You might be
Fair
on
enough.
the
But listen, Eagles continue to set records. Eagles Chiefs Super Bowl, most watched Super Bowl in NFL history. And then you have hold on. And then you have the Chiefs and the Eagles merchandise sales. The Eagles merchandise sales are the most sold merchandise in 24-hour period this season. I mean, well, not this season in NFL history since Fanatics started. And the Eagles already hold the most merchandise sale overall from a Super Bowl from the 2018 victory. It said currently they have sold merchandise in every state and in over 60 countries in just 24 hours.
Yeah.
So the Eagles continue to set records. Not bad for a team that everybody calls despicable and wants to bring up that, we threw snowballs
fans.
at Santa and shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they talk a lot about the fans. This is what I'll say because I do understand we do have a whole Patrick Mahomes thing. Before I get into that, I'm gonna shift quickly. Well, I'm talking about this not being able to flip a switch. Coaching. I'm gonna go to coaches first, and then we can talk about Pat Mahomes.
Yeah, the fact that they came out with the same game plan in the second half is nuts.
That's insanity. That's insanity, Mark.
I
We
believe
prayed.
I feel like Eric Bieniemy would have had something different.
Mark, I'm glad that you said that name, Mark, because this is what I'm gonna say. Like, we praise Andy Reid a lot, and we have said it multiple times on this show. He is the greatest coach of all time. He can still have that title, Mark. I'm not
Mhm.
going to take that away
Yeah.
from him. But there's a stark difference in how they operate offensively as far as the plays that they have, as far as the play calling that happens, and clearly as far as the adjustments. Me and you sat here for 2 or 3 seasons straight when Pat Mahomes first started being the starter and said we don't know if it's Patrick Mahomes' aggressive play style or whether it's Andy Reid actually learning from his mistakes of the past. But it seems as though the chances that they take later in games, the lack of conservative play in the second half of games that they're winning, which Andy Reid was known for prior to his Chiefs stint. That somehow went away. We were trying to figure out whether it was Andy Reid learning or whether it was the Patrick Mahomes effect. And I feel like Mark now. I feel like this game has shown me that it's Eric Bieniemy.
Yes.
That's what it said to me. It was Eric Bieniemy, right? So the lack of adjustment, right? Saying that you know what we're just gonna get it, we're just gonna execute better. That's always the wrong answer in my book. You can't just say we're gonna execute better. All right. So there was no adjustment. There was no we didn't even touch on offensive line situation, Mark. I don't
No,
know if
Rob.
you're
One can't argue he's the go coach. He doesn't cheat. Sorry, Rob.
look,
So
look,
he's
look,
the go coach. He doesn't
look,
cheat. Hey,
look, man.
Rob. Hey, real quick. No, I gotta do this because I'm tired of people doing this. I gotta do this. I'm sorry. Real quick. I'm gonna just cook you real fast. I'm hibachi style. It's gonna be fast. Listen, he doesn't cheat. He actually goes out there and plays his coaching tree. His coaching tree is actually successful. He has coaches out there currently that are coaching NFL teams as head coaches that came directly from under his tree. He has people from under his tree that have Super Bowl rings. So he's not the only person with a Super Bowl ring. He has people from under his tree with Super Bowl rings.
Hey, the only successful coaches that came from the coaching tree of Bill Belichick either cheated like Bill
But
Belichick or they got cheated by Bill Belichick.
yes,
Okay,
and that was
look,
what I was about to say. I was about to say the only guy that had any success from the Bill Belichick tree cheated and got punished by the NFL for cheating.
look, man, look, look. What I'm gonna say is Drake can't be considered as the GOAT rapper because whether he writes all of his lyrics or not has been in question. It, we don't know if he's written all of his hits, man. That if that's in question, he could just be a great rapper that makes phenomenal music, and we can accept that. We just can't put him in the GOAT conversation. We can acknowledge all of his other achievements, and all this other shit. We cannot put him in the conversation for GOAT rapper. The same way that if you have not just allegations, right? Because the Drake thing is we had full proof that he had people writing shit for him. We have full proof that Bill Belichick been cheating. Okay, the fact I'm never going to forget the fact that Shady went on that podcast and said Tom Brady during the Tampa Bay Super Bowl week said, "Hey dog, we're not practicing here. If somebody could possibly see us from that building over there." And he was like, "What are you talking about?" You know what I'm saying? Like, and he was like, Tom was like adamant, like, "No, we have to practice indoors. We're gonna go to the indoor facility. We're not practicing out here. If somebody wanted to cheat and see our plays, they could see us from here, bro." And that was the moment that Shady knew what was going on, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like, we can't ignore these things, man. We can't ignore these things, Mark.
Real quick, my guy said, I don't care about no coaching tree. It's about 8 rings. Yeah, you got 8 rings with Tom Brady, my boy. Dog, you have 0 success outside of Tom Brady. So how good are you? Hey, I want to point out to you that Andy Reid has success in the playoffs, not equaling a chip, but success in the playoffs of making conference championships with Alex Smith, with Donovan McNabb. And guess who Donovan McNabb's receivers were? Todd effing Pinkston.
I was going to say, you can't name him outside of Deshaun Jackson.
Todd Pinkston and Freddie Mitchell. And that's who we were taking to NFC championships. And you want to talk to me? I would love to see Bill Belichick go to a championship with Todd Pinkston and Freddie Mitchell.
I am going to say one thing real quick because I gotta shut all this down because I already know where this conversation is going. Don't tell me Tom Brady never had weapons, okay? Because I know that's where the conversation is going. When you've had literally the lineup of the greatest slot receivers to ever exist, when you have the lineup of the greatest receiving running backs to ever exist, okay, when you have the greatest tight end ever to exist, right? You guys say it's debatable. I don't care. When you're talking primes, there's nobody greater than Gronk, right? When you talk about the even the couple years that you had Aaron Hernandez, we're talking about Aaron Hernandez would be like if Gronk didn't exist at the time, Aaron Hernandez would be a top five. Like you could just say he was a top five talent wise, top five tight end at the time, even as a rookie, bro. Like we don't want to talk about Wes Welker. We don't want to talk about Julian Edelman. Like you Andy Reid didn't have those type of weapons, okay? Let's be very clear about that. I don't care if he's a seventh round pick. See, don't do that. Don't name a round that a person was drafted in, okay? Don't name a round that a person was drafted in because that doesn't matter. We seeing that with Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy don't play like a seventh round pick.
Tom Brady was
Tom
drafted.
Brady's a seventh round pick.
Or seven or six. So
Or excuse me, no, Tom Brady was six. My bad. Tom Brady, you're right. Tom Brady was a sixth round pick. That doesn't matter. He's still the GOAT quarterback. You cannot, don't try to minimalize it. Look, that's one thing. Either you guys are great at finding talent, okay, or you guys are great at developing talent, okay? So are you going to tell me you made Tom Brady? Are you going to tell me you made Edelman? Edelman was an elite athlete, but not an elite athlete, but he was clearly very elite enough athlete at the quarterback position to where somebody said we could turn him into a wide receiver. Okay, dog. That's all I'm saying. Like you can say Chris Holt. Don't tell me about the third receiver on the squad. You know what I'm saying? Nah, man. You guys had better receiving talent over the course of Tom Brady's career.
Yeah, Wes Welker.
Than the Eagles had during the Donovan McNabb era. The only years that you can talk about is the 2 seasons where they had T.O. and they had Dante Stallworth. That's it. You can't talk about no other seasons. Nah, we're not doing that, Mark. We're not doing that. We're not even going to talk about all the Hall of Famers y'all had on defense.
But all right. So,
yeah, get out of here, Rob. Get out of here. Sorry, Mark.
But back to what or what you were saying.
What was I saying? Oh, I was just talking about Andy Reid and the coaching staff not getting it done. There was no adjustments in the second half. Spags couldn't figure out what to do defensively. Right? I thought leaving his guy, the way that Jalen Hurts was playing, leaving his guys in single coverage out there on the outside specifically was not the answer, Mark. And they never changed. Okay? You can't just say we're going to stick with it. Y'all was getting blown out in the first half. You can't just come out in the second half and say this is what we're going to continue to do.
Right.
Okay? So but like I said, I talked about them not being able to flip a switch because they've been coddled by the refs all season. Pat Mahomes wasn't able to flip that switch. Andy Reid wasn't able to flip that switch. Spagnuolo wasn't able to flip that switch. Okay? I feel like the Eagles would have won no matter what in my book, Mark. I agree with you. Them getting blown out and destroyed the way that they did, forget the score. We already know what happened with them cheap ass touchdowns in the game. Them getting blown out the way they did happened because they were called it all season. There's nothing that you can say to convince me anything otherwise. They were unable to flip a switch as a team. Players, coaches, everything all together. That's what happens, okay? So I'm so glad. It felt good for me, Mark, to see that all that cheating that the refs did for them actually worked against them when it came to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they were unprepared.
Unprepared.
Now,
Prepared.
now, here's the part of the conversation. Hey, what's going on? Kendrick Lamar's burner account. Listen, we did a bunch of Eagles praise already. You may have missed it. Go ahead and rewind to the beginning, and you'll catch all of that. But listen, because right now we're talking about everything that went wrong with the Chiefs, and right now we're talking about Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes had a horrible game. Patrick Mahomes has not looked to himself for the better part of 2 seasons. Somehow they still won a Super Bowl last year, but for the better part of 2 seasons, Patrick Mahomes has not quite looked himself. This season, he looked pretty much awful. Now, whether or not you want to say that's offensive play calling, whatever, sure. But I will also, but as a caveat, I will say this: quarterbacks collectively in the NFL have not looked great. Quarterbacks' numbers collectively this season are down, way down. Like I don't think we had anyone get over 4,500 yards this season passing,
Which is insane.
and so that's very telling that you don't have a single
Yeah, actually,
quarterback
you're
in
right.
the NFL get over 4,500 yards.
Joe Burrow led the league with like
Oh,
4,300, like
yeah, so
4,350 yards. Yeah,
that's still not 45.
it's
Yeah,
not. That's what I'm saying. That's but I was to your
yeah,
point. Yeah,
I feel you. So that is the defense of Patrick Mahomes there. But outside of that, he hasn't looked good. Now, with that being said, I feel like we are all getting to be prisoners of the moment, and where we are all losing it a little bit is when we're like, hey, like now the Tom Brady defenders is out there, or the Patrick Mahomes haters is out there, and now they're letting the moment go a little bit too far. They are like, hey, the conversation is over. Conversation is over. Like Tom Brady's the GOAT. Like, I don't ever want to hear you mention Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady together ever again. Like, whoa. Now, here's the thing. At the time, that night, I'm riding the high of the Eagles win. I'm loving life. I'm enjoying my family. So I'm just rolling around agreeing with people like, yeah, sure, Patrick Mahomes ain't shit. We destroyed that dude. But, as it keeps going, and then Leighton posts his post.
Hey, it's funny that you said it right when it popped up.
Right when it popped up is when I say it. As it keeps going, and Leighton he posts his post, that's when it triggered in my mind, and I said, hold up. Nah, I can't let this slide because this don't make sense to me.
Yeah.
This doesn't add up to me. How is the conversation over? Within the first 7 years of his career, this man has won 3 Super Bowls. Tom Brady, within the first 7 years of his career, won 3 Super Bowls. So we on pace. I'm like,
he's been to more than anybody else in the first.
Yeah,
7 years
exactly.
of his career.
I'm like, but I'm getting there. Let me cook.
Go ahead,
right now.
Go ahead.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, dog. Hey, you know what I mean? We're on pace. We're still on pace with Tom.
I said that, Leighton. I said that.
Oh, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, we're on pace with Tom. You know what I mean? What's going on? I don't understand. And then they keep going, and I'm like, oh, all right. Everybody's like, but Tom went and got blown out in the Super Bowl. Oh, okay. You sure. Okay. You say that, sure. But guess what? Tom hasn't done. Guess what Patrick Mahomes never did that Tom did? Patrick Mahomes has never, ever lost in a wild card round in his NFL career. That's period. That has never happened to him. But guess what? That happened to Tom, and it happened within his first 7 years of being in the NFL. Patrick Mahomes has never, ever not been in the AFC Championship game. As far as he knows, that's where the playoffs start. As far as he knows, the playoffs start in the AFC Championship game. Like, that's just like, hey man, like, look, Rob. See, I didn't bring up a particular thing because I don't deal in ifs. Because if I was going to deal in ifs, I would bring up the fact that Tom was down by 28. I mean, he was down by 24 or 25. He was down by 25, and he would have lost that game had it not been for Kyle Shanahan. But I don't deal in ifs, so that's why I didn't bring it up. But so I wouldn't bring up this if the refs didn't do this year, because I can bring up ifs too. But what I can tell you though is that on a team in 2009, Tom Brady had Randy Moss, Wes Welker, and went out there and lost the game 33-14 in the wild card round to the Baltimore Ravens. 33-14 in the wild card round. Do you want to hear Tom Brady's stats in that game?
I do.
Because you're like, hey, man, they scored 14. They didn't lose by 30. Okay, cool. But let's go ahead and listen to Tom Brady's stats from that. 23 for 42. He was 23 passes for 42. He was 20.
Cope with it however you need to cope with it.
Hey, John, you're absolutely right. It wasn't the Super Bowl because he wasn't good enough to get there. You're absolutely right. All right. So 23 for 42, 154 yards. 23 passes only equaled up to 154 yards. No, 23 actual passes, but 42 attempts only equaled up to 154 yards. He had 2 touchdowns, sure.
So that's less than 5 yards per attempt?
Hey, man.
That's disgusting, Mark. I'm not gonna lie.
A lot of dinking and dunking. That was the only thing he was getting. A lot of Dunkin' Donuts out there, huh? A lot of Dunkin' Donuts.
All right.
A lot of Dunkin' Donuts. Hey, 2 touchdowns. 3 INTs. 3 of them things. Nasty work. 3 of them. 3 sacks and a fumble loss.
So 4 turnovers.
4 turnovers total. God damn, that boy was cheeks.
In a wild card game. Hold up, Mark. I forgot to bring up. We looked at this. They were the 3 seed, and the Ravens were the 6 seed.
Oh, they lost to a lesser seed? Holy.
At home. At home. At home.
This was in your house. They Rick James you? They went out there and Rick James Tom? Is that what you told me?
Feet up on the couch.
They went out there and Rick James Tom? No, that couldn't have happened to Tom Brady. That couldn't have happened to Tom Brady.
All over you. Said, what am I gonna do about my legs? They tired. We running all over you.
Not Tom. Hold up. Another thing from that game. Yo, here's the wildest part. That was Tom's stats. You want to hear Joe Flacco's stats? You want to hear Joe Flacco's stats, bro? Joe Flacco's stats is 4 completions for 10 attempts on 34 yards. Doug, how is it that you can't beat that? How is it that you can't beat a guy that only throws 10 times total in the game?
He had less yards per attempt than Tom Brady. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yo, how is it that the GOAT coach can't figure out how to beat that?
Look,
How
look.
what happened to the GOAT coach?
Sorry, I want to bring this up, man, because John just said you moved the goalpost. No, this is the thing. This is the thing about it. The Super Bowl isn't the only thing that exists. Okay, this is not moving the goalposts. We talk about the entire body of work when we talk about greatness here. We are not mainstream media. Okay, there's a reason why we feel like uh Terrell Owens is better than Randy Moss. Not by a lot. Don't get it fucked up. Not by a lot, but there's a reason why we feel like he's better because we consider entire body of work. You know what I'm saying? We consider total amount of skills, all these different things. We're not just looking at Super Bowls. We're not just looking at stuff like that. I know a lot of people think that wins are a quarterback stat. We here on the eye test believe that it is part of the quarterback's measuring stick, but it's not the entirety of it. Okay, we've seen situations where quarterbacks have played perfect in the game, played perfect in the game, but they lost. You can't blame. We seen plays where a quarterback throws an interception and it's not on them, right? So we that's not what we do. We look at the totality of situations. We're not moving the goalposts, sir. We are sticking to what the criteria that we judge quarterbacks on. Okay,
Yeah. And
so
then you can't
so
say and you cannot come out here and say the conversation is over because this dude got blown out in the Super Bowl. Like, Doug, you are cherry picking.
okay, no,
What?
no. Let's talk about the game. No, let's talk about the game. He said you can't address my post when I only spoke about the game. Here's the deal. We've already said that there has never been a game. Forget Super Bowl. We've never seen a game, regular season or postseason, to where a front four dominated in this manner. Okay, there's never been anything like this. The closest that you can bring up is the Giants versus the Patriots in '07, and we saw what Tom Brady did in that game. If the Giants were able to score 40 points in that game, right, then it would have been a bigger margin of victory than what happened here versus the Eagles and the Chiefs. Pat put up 22. You want to talk about you want to get into the weeds? You can say it's garbage time points, you can say whatever. All I'm saying is if the Giants were able to score on your defense during that Super Bowl, that would have been a bigger blowout than this one because of how great the the New York Giants front four played against y'all. And I'm telling you that the Eagles front four played better. Okay? Let's go ahead and do that then. You know what I'm saying? You guys don't deal in it. We don't. But you're bringing this up, okay? All I'm telling you is all I'm telling you is you if you're going to talk about a game, then we have to talk about context, right? Let's say throw all the ifs out the window. Context is there's no there's no way any quarterback in the NFL can win that game, all right, with the way that the defensive line dominated the offensive line. Are we saying that Pat played perfect? No, we're telling you that he had a bad game. We said that. Okay? Pat absolutely could have played better, but it's the same. Tom Brady could have played better when he played against the Giants in that Super Bowl the first time. If he would have played better, they would have won. That's very simple. They barely lost that game. Okay? If he would have played better like he could have, you know what I'm saying? He had way more opportunities to make plays in that game than Pat Mahomes had opportunities to make plays in this game. Okay? You really want to get down to the nitty-gritty, okay? That's what I'm saying here. So, no ifs. We're just talking about what happened in the game. Okay? So with that said, you can't say this game is a marker to say that it's over. If he had an ounce of protection and he still played the way that he did, then we can say that. You can say see, you're bringing up. He says, did Tom Brady lose by 30? That's all I said. Tom Brady didn't lose by 30. No, I can agree to that. But why didn't Tom Brady lose by 30? Go back to the Super Bowls. There's only one Super Bowl that they played in to where their opponent scored 30. Let's go back to the Super Bowls. There's only one Super Bowl that they played in to where their opponent scored 30. Let's start there. You know what I'm saying? Let's start there when we talk about the Patriots and their defenses, okay? Let's start there, okay? You can't lose by 30 if your opponent doesn't score 30, okay? And that Tom Brady don't got nothing to do with that. So that's fine. You know what? I'm gonna get off of it. I can already see this conversation is going nowhere. He's trying to cope with it. Cope with it however you need to, brother. But I'm just telling you right now, this conversation about Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes is not over. This does not end the conversation. Okay.
Hey, man.
This does set him back a step because he could have played better.
Right. Now, I can 100% agree that this certainly, like, this was a moment where he could have closed the door and just said, look, I three-peated. And now he lost that moment. That's 1,000% factual.
Yeah.
But outside of that, the conversation between who is what is not over. Because this dude, like I said, Tom had Randy Moss, Wes Welker, and went out there both times and didn't do great. And listen, so, I mean, I could bring up other wild card games in which he lost because there's a lot of them.
There's divisional rounds that he's lost.
I can talk
about it.
I can talk about these other things, but it's no need. It's no need because he has a lot of them. Patrick Mahomes doesn't have a single wild card game that he's ever lost.
You don't have a wild card or a divisional round that he's lost. So
hey, he did the LeVar Ball and never lost.
he said, hey, look, hey, John, you say how I never said Pat wasn't great. We're not debating whether or not you said Pat wasn't great. You are saying that because Tom Brady never been beaten by 30, that means something. We take everything into context here. Like I said, if the defense isn't even giving up 30 points, then it's impossible for him to lose by 30. Let's start there. That's context, right? So,
and you want us to give Tom Brady credit for what his defense was able to do?
We don't do that here. This is a quarterback conversation.
Yeah.
This is a quarterback conversation, man.
All right.
That's a good question. What is your context? What are you saying? What are you trying? What's the point that you're trying to prove when you say that Tom Brady hasn't lost by 30? Because Pat just put up 22 points.
I have quite a few games in which Tom has failed to put up 22 points.
Let me be very specific, though. He's won Super Bowls without putting up 22 points. Let's talk about that. Okay? When you can win a Super Bowl, like if he had the Patriots defenses, you know what I'm saying? If he had the performances from the Patriots defenses, then what are we talking about? You say you don't want to deal in ifs? Fine. Let's not deal in ifs. Let's just talk about the fact that Tom Brady was able to win Super Bowls putting up 17 points. Multiple Super Bowls. Okay? Let's talk about that. So, you know, Tom Brady gets credit for those stuff. Okay, let's talk about that. So, man. So, that context is everything. Context means everything. We take into context here. We're not just gonna blow smoke. Right. We're not gonna lean towards something because it sounds better. We're not gonna. I could tell you straight up. I don't like Tom Brady. I don't like the beginning of the Tom. The first 3 Super Bowls he won, I don't feel the first 3 that he won. I don't feel like that's on him. The same way that I feel like Big Ben gets way more credit than he deserves for the 1 Super Bowl that he got. But that's neither here nor there. You know what I'm saying? Like I still will judge them fairly.
Yeah. So listen, That's the end of our Patrick Mahomes cape. Taking
Yeah.
that off. Um, and is there anything else? What else should we get into?
Um, if we're gonna stay on the topic of Super Bowl, how much do you want to talk about the halftime performance or
Uh,
the response or anything?
yeah. A few comments back. Troy brought up the fact that the most watched Super Bowl performance ever, 133 million or something like that.
Yeah,
So, so that's dope.
I want to bring up another stat, Mark. They said that the Super Bowl, the game as a whole, lost 13 million viewers after the Super Bowl performance.
Yeah,
Some people are trying to use that and say that the halftime show was bad to where it made people not want to watch afterwards.
that
There's 2 points that I'll make. A lot of people believe the game was over
yeah,
at halftime. Okay, if they believe that, then they could have left before the halftime performance, not after, right?
but I
And
mean,
then with the
that's-
other point that I was going to make, I had people at my house, Mark. Out of everybody that was in my household, I was the only person there to watch the game. Everybody else that was there was only there to see the halftime show, and they left after the halftime show. I'm just saying, like
now
it's not.
that's the thing. This is like that happens every single year. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah,
That happens every single year. People tune in for the halftime show and then they tune back out. Not everybody is a football fan, but a lot of people are fans of entertainment and music. So when Beyonce comes on, they tune in for Beyonce. When Katy Perry comes on, they tune in for Katy Perry. It's just what happens. It
yeah.
happens every single
Rob,
year.
let me address Rob real quick. Rob, stop it, man. Trying to say that I don't care whether it's a social media era or not. Trying to say that somebody should get more viewership than Michael Jackson is just a wild statement in itself. Stop it, brother. Stop it. There's
Listen,
like it's that's crazy. I don't care if there's more people on the planet Earth today than there was when Michael Jackson did his performance. Saying that somebody should have more views than Michael Jackson is crazy.
yeah.
Continue.
Now, listen. Also, that that viewership also I think it like on YouTube it accounted for the same amount of views that Usher's performance had in a year within 24 or 48 hours. Like it was like almost like it was like catching up to it or something like that. I don't know the exact
Yeah,
stat.
no,
But
it was
all the same, it's like
well.
it just points to that it was like a highly watched thing.
Yeah, well, whether you think it was a good performance or not, the one thing I could tell you that everybody should be able to agree with is because it was more so not a performance for entertainment. It was more so a performance for a message. And Kendrick being the person that he is and having layered hidden messages and stuff, he definitely his performance might not have ranked high on the entertainment scale, but as far as replay value, absolutely, it's up there. And this is why I think it will exceed a lot of other performances when it comes to the YouTube viewership, is because people are going to rewatch this, Mark.
Now,
People are going to go back and rewatch this way a lot more than past performances.
now here's the thing. One thing we do know for sure is that pyrotechnics and all that adds to the show. It adds to the excitement of the show. It adds to everything to the show. And
Yeah, I
um,
know about that.
apparently Kendrick Lamar was not allowed to use pyrotechnics or anything like that because of Donald Trump being in the building. Because a sitting president was currently in the building, you can't have like pyros going off and all that. I get it because assassinations attempts and all that, and quote unquote he did get attempted on, you know.
I'm
So,
glad you threw them quotes up, Mark. Go ahead, continue.
you know what I mean. So they um so it's a Secret Service thing. So the pyrotechnics that was planned and was seen in rehearsal were removed for the main show.
Hmm.
So we were missing a part of the glamour of that.
Oh, I noticed there was no pyrotechnics. It's like one of the first things
Yeah,
I did notice when I watched it. And obviously, we found out the story about it after the fact.
yeah,
But yeah, I noticed like every other Super Bowl, before the person even comes out to the stage, there's pyrotechnics. There's all kind of stuff going off, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we didn't see none of that stuff, you know?
yeah.
Um,
So, but I think we should get into the biggest part of it, which is the set list. The
yeah.
set list was not good, man.
One thing I want to bring up, this particular set list was actually leaked.
Yes, yes, it was. And
It
there's
was.
a leak. The funniest thing about that leak is that on the leak, the Joe Button podcast
I saw that.
destroyed that leak. They was like,
That
"You're
this is
so
fake.
stupid if he thinks you're gonna do
Fake
this."
news. Hey, Joe said this is so ridiculous of a set that's how I know it's fake. This can't be in and when I tell you it was everything to a T.
Yes,
And then Mark, 24 hours goes by after I see, after I go and I see the Joe Biden podcast and people commenting about how it was actually the set. 24 hours after that, what happens? Then you have academics go on
saying
and
that
say,
he's the one who leaked it.
I leaked it. I leaked it. I tried to save y'all. Like it's insanity, man. It's crazy. Now, it takes a lot of balls to do what he did as far as making that the set list.
Yeah,
I will give him credit for that. This is my personal gripe about it, which because it's bittersweet, Mark. I love the message that he had in
right.
his performance. Love everything about it.
Yes,
I
the
love the
performance was
brazenness.
A1.
I love the brazenness of it. And to me, it's almost like so they obviously didn't know that the president was going to show up, but now it makes it so much better that it's like I'm not moving off of that square just because of the matter of fact, I'm more emboldened to do this shit now that I know the president is here, right? So he does the set, and I appreciate everything about it.
Right.
But this is a moment where this is one of the few moments in America that happens once a year to where all the bullshit that we deal with politically, all the BS that we deal with in life is supposed to just go away and it's supposed to be purely about entertainment. So that's what was missing from the show, from most of the show. I'm not going to say all of the show, but from most of the performance, what we were missing was the entertainment value.
Mhm.
But I'll be honest with you, Mark, that bothered me at first. But then after watching it all the way through and then seeing all the hidden messaging and seeing everything, Sam Jackson, shout out to Sam Jackson, Samuel L. Jackson for his performance, man. All that stuff collectively, man, that shit felt great, Mark. I'm just speaking as a black man in America. That shit felt great.
Now,
I
here's my only gripe with the set list because it's not like I have a problem with any of the songs. I don't have a problem with any of the songs at all.
like the song
I love all the songs, and I love that
individually.
I love that as a Kendrick Lamar performance. I don't love it as a Super Bowl show.
That's what I'm saying.
Like
There
I
has to
love
be an entertainment factor, Mark.
I love it as a Kendrick Lamar performance. I do not like it as a Super Bowl performance. A Super Bowl performance, I would love for him to take Peekaboo out. I I would I would love for him to like. Well, I shouldn't say. Not, actually, Peekaboo could have stayed. What was the first one? The intro. Uh, the intro
Um,
to GNX. I would love for that to not have been in there. If he had started out with backseat freestyle,
yeah,
that would have Like starting the whole thing with backseat freestyle would have been dope, especially with everybody coming out of the GNX the way that he had them
That would
coming
have
out
been
of the
dope.
GNX.
Yeah,
That would
that's
have
an
been
easy
fire.
dot to connect, man. That's an easy dot to connect. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so like and backseat, the tempo of freestyle would have let you know, like, this is what you here for. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we about to set it off. Like, and I understand that he performed all right in the Dr. Dre joint, so he's not going to perform all right here. I understand that, but you have to perform all right.
There's, and that's what I was gonna say, Mark. There's certain songs of his that you have to perform. And I made some comments on some posts, and I had some people tell me, "Ah, well, that's old shit." Look, man, when you're on a Super Bowl stage, like first off, when you're on tour, even when you're just on tour, right, you have to play some of your biggest hits. Even though they could be 20 years old, you have to play them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you close out your set with that. You still do the set the way you want, but you got to close out with your biggest hits, right? So for me, in a Super Bowl performance, it's non-negotiable.
Right.
You have to play certain songs. You know what I'm saying? Like Usher can't get up there and not do make me
Right.
wanna. Like you have to do it. Like it doesn't matter how old it is that it was something off of your second CD. You have to perform that, right? It's just
Right.
something that has to happen. Whether you perform 30 seconds of it or 2 minutes of it, you have to make it part of your performance, right? All right has to be there. That's his biggest song when you talk about uh viewership, listenership. It's his biggest song.
Mm-hmm.
You have to play that. I am a fan of swimming pools. I know I argue people down, and people are like, we don't want to hear that shit. That's just old. It's played out. I'm like, dude, have you not seen a Super Bowl performance? All the played out shit is getting played. Okay, it's the things that everybody knows every single word to. So I'm not saying he would have had
I
to do
feel as though you
everything.
got to do "Kill My Vibe," and you could have did "Kill My
Yes,
Vibe" remix.
you kill my vibe had to be done.
You
I'm saying I
should have
want a
did "Kill
swimming
My
pool.
Vibe" remix.
He
Like,
didn't even have to do swimming pools, Mark. That's the
yeah,
crazy thing. He didn't even have to do swimming pools. You have to do Don't Kill My Vibe, and you have to do All Right. Those are the two. No matter what happens, I don't care how you fix it in there or mix it in there. I don't care if you do it at the beginning and end, whatever. I don't care if you just do 30 seconds of it. You have to give us something from those songs, and it didn't happen. So, the messaging, I love the messaging, but part of the messaging is keeping people keeping people's attention long enough so that they can pay attention. The Kendrick fans are going to pay attention to the whole thing. The people that you're trying to
should
speak
have
to,
brought out
Mark,
Baby Keem.
yeah, yeah, the people that you're trying to speak to that need the messaging, they tune out after a while. That's why you need those songs in there.
Right now,
Yeah.
this is to everybody out there. This is especially. I mean, Stephen A. Smith doesn't watch us or anything like
Stephen
that.
A. Smith the fool, but
But
I don't
but
like
this
his
but this is
Serena pop.
especially to Stephen A. Smith and anybody else that wanted to embarrass and talk bad about Serena Williams, um, and her being on the stage and her trying to quote unquote get back at her ex, like, and she's bitter or whatever the hell they was trying to say. I want to point this out very clearly. I thought it was dope. I thought it was dope from the standpoint that Serena Williams was doing the crip walk there, but what I thought was dope about it was he that Drake has been throwing shots at Serena Williams and her husband
And her husband.
he has been throwing shots at her and her husband unprovoked for years. Throwing shots at them
In songs.
unprovoked for years. In tweets and in song.
Yeah.
In her loss, he brings it up. He brings it up multiple times. He called her husband a groupie. Like and her husband was like, "What the hell, bro? Like what's your deal?" Like so when So when in a moment this song is playing that's about you being a creep and being just a weirdo type of dude that
Mm.
sneaks around and does weird shit to people, it's dope that she gets to dance on that on a national stage and everybody
Yeah.
gets to see it, and you get the message. I like the fact that Stephen A. Smith doesn't understand why you're doing that. I like the fact that the public in general, some of them only see it as you crip walking, but Drake understands the message that happened there.
Yeah, but here's the beauty of it, right? This is the layeredness of Kendrick Lamar. I think it's really weird when people are like, "There's no way he intentionally did that. That just happens to be a coincidence that those dots connect." Right? When he talk about his disses and like just even going back to the Grammys, he came out with the denim suit, and they're like, "Yo, they call that a Canadian tux." Like
You're
that's
right.
not these things don't happen by accident when you're talking about Kendrick Lamar. Okay, so to me, Mark, here's the other meaning in it that I feel like Stephen A. should have gotten. So when we're talking about they not like us, it's a cultural thing, right? It's a okay. John said they should. They were saying they should have because his sister was killed by. Look, they didn't know that was Serena's sister. That's number one. Number two, it's number two. The thing is this: she grew up in this culture. She is from Compton. Okay. And one thing that I've learned about people, even older people, Jay, Jodell King. You know what I'm saying? We know these people that are from certain areas, and depending on what area you're from, you can't uh you can't escape the gang culture. Matter of fact, it's part of survival. You grew up in this area. Either you could get fucked with by the other gangs, or you could side with the gang that your neighborhood affiliates with. It's not really a choice, Mark. You're choosing
Right.
life over death, right? When you choose to affiliate yourself. That's one thing that people don't understand about these gang cultures that everybody says is stupid. Oh, that's stupid. Yes. Okay. Until you have to make a life or death choice. Okay. So with that said, clearly where she came from is Crip affiliated. You know what I'm saying? Okay, thank you. Ain't no non-affiliates. The fact that you said four extra, that's wild. Hey, they called that man the squab father. You know what I'm saying? The squab father. Anyways, but with that said, she obviously come from that type of thing. They didn't know that they were killing Serena's sister. But the point I'm trying to make is Stephen A. You made commentary on her performances in the past when it came to Wimbledon and how they were mistreating her and how they treated her differently because of where she was from. This is the cultural stuff that Kendrick is speaking to when when we're talking about the whole beat between him and
Right.
Drake. It's one of the things he's speaking to when he's saying not like us. Okay, she has been discriminated against her whole career when it comes to this thing. She once crip walked at one of the at one of the major tournaments. Okay, after her victory,
And she got discriminated against
she
there.
absolutely they crucified her for it. They called her all kinds of ghetto and hood rat and all kind of shit. Right. So that's the thing that I find weird is yeah, you might not know the connection in the situation specifically between her and Drake, but you do know everything about her career when it comes to her being discriminated against as a tennis player, as a black female tennis player that was better than everybody in being where she was from. You made commentary on her father being removed from events unfairly because he was there cheering her on. You've made commentary on these things, and yet you're going to sit here and pretend like you don't know why she was up there crip walking. It's another situation to where it's like they told me I'm not supposed to do this shit. I took heat for this shit at Wimbledon.
And I am doing
And
it.
here I am on a bigger stage, on a Super Bowl stage doing it. It's the picture of defiance and saying I'm going to be who I am as an American citizen. You know what I'm saying? Like
Serena looked great to me that night. She
it,
looked
she
great.
did. She ain't look that good to me. Look, I'm not judging. I'm not judging, but she didn't look as white as usual. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
like you know what I mean.
She
She
didn't
didn't. She
like
like her like she looked like she looked. Her skin
yeah.
looked closer to
It was
her
still
actual
lighter than
skin
I would
color.
like it to be. She still did some shit with it, but you know what I'm saying? She looked good. You're right, Mark. But that's my point. Is it's the bucking of the system, the defiance to say, look, I'm willing to be who I am no matter what the circumstance, no matter what the status quo is, no matter what everybody else is saying. Okay. I can be me and still be great, and I can still be me and be celebrated. Like it's crazy, bro. It's crazy that Stephen A. just gonna act like he wasn't there for all of this when she went through it with her career. That's my disappointment. Forget about him not knowing about the Drake shit. That's my disappointment because that was the other message behind her being on that stage and doing it. There's a video that went out. She fucking posted a video. She said, "Look, man, if I would have crip walked like this at Wimbledon, shit." You know what I'm saying? Like no, like she made reference to it. Like we know it wasn't just about Drake. So yeah,
Yeah, man. All right. Listen, we've been talking for a long time. Long
yeah.
time. I'm going to the parade on Friday. Troy, will you be with me at the parade? Join me. Yes, Stephen A. Smith
Even
certainly says
the
things.
fact that Stephen A. every single week takes questions on Pokemon lets me know that he's just doing things for clicks. Okay, the fact that he takes Pokemon questions every week lets me know.
But yeah, man. Woo, feels good.
That's
I'm
funny.
gonna
Hey,
I'm gonna
hey,
hey,
John,
I'm adding a new hat to my
you got to
collection.
get the new hat. You got to get the new hat. So, Rob said John is wild for that lion comment. Did you see it?
Mm-hmm.
Talk about she glad she didn't look like the carrier lion. Look, man, not today, John. We're not doing this today. We're not talking crazy about Serena, one of our black queens today, bro. We're not doing it today. We catch you next week, but we're
Yeah.
not doing it today. We're not doing it.
But listen, man, it's great. It's a great moment. The Eagles, hands down the best team in the NFL. Period.
Yeah, undoubtedly, man. I don't think it's questionable.
Period. I truly believe after watching all the games that was played out in the playoffs, there's not a team that could have beat us in that moment.
hmm
Not, there's,
I honestly believe that, man. I don't think there is a team in the NFL that I could say, "Hey, man, if they were in the place of the Chiefs, that they would have beat you." The only team, there's a few teams that I think that would have done better.
right.
I don't think they would have beat you. And I know you and Sharice had your back and forth today. And I don't like to give Sharice credit for anything. I'm just gonna be honest. I'm her big brother. She be talking crazy. But the one thing I will agree with her with is Washington did give you the best fight.
Win.
And we
Win.
seen how much you beat them by, right? So that's what I mean by it's not
Oh,
it's not debatable about you guys just being the best team. The best team won, in my opinion. The best team doesn't always win the Super Bowl, but the best team won the Super Bowl this year. Washington, if they get their defense right, Mark, if they get their defense right, they could probably compete. And that's
doubtful.
what I'll say about that. But I
That
don't. That doesn't happen overnight. I told Sharice that. I was like, Sharice, you think y'all coming back next year? The problems that y'all have don't happen overnight.
and here, but Sean, here's another reason why the Eagles absolutely need to go get Miles Garrett.
Why?
You can't risk the Commanders getting him.
And he would be willing. I think he would be. I
You can't
think most players would be willing to go to Washington right
you
now.
can't risk the Commanders or the Cowboys getting them. Now, the Cowboys may
It's not.
be may be less likely because like I think at this point people look at the Jerry Jones situation and be like, "Nah, man, I'm kind of good on that." But honestly, I don't know the mindset of players because some players just be like, "I don't care
I
as
like
long as
that.
I'm getting paid." Like
Yeah,
so,
yeah, but they are talking about trading Parsons.
yeah.
So, I mean,
But you can't.
yes,
But you 100% cannot let Miles Garrett go to the Commanders or the Cowboys. So that's why you
yeah.
have to you have to go
Well,
get them
I
yourself.
can tell you the good thing is, Mark, you don't have to worry about him going to the Niners. We can't afford him.
I know.
So, yeah, so I
Yo,
know
yo,
you're not worried about that.
Sean, I 100% meant this when I said that y'all done. It's over
Yeah,
for
no,
you.
I
As
don't.
far
I
as
don't think
the
we're.
way I feel, like now, it may not be true, but the way I feel like the 49ers reign of relevance is done for the next 3 years. Like,
No, but the crazy thing, Mark, is I agree with you. 3 years is what I see, which is crazy. But I think we're taking a break. I absolutely think the break is happening right now. But the good thing about the 3 year window is our rookies that we just drafted are still going to be on rookie contracts, and I think they're good. And they're not going to progress as fast as the Eagles rookies have this year, but they will progress and get really good, I think. So that's what I mean. That's part of me believing that it's a 3 year break. But the one thing I can say is we've done where we've failed in drafting first round picks and sometimes second round picks, we've succeeded heavily in drafting third to seventh round guys that can come in and turn into all pros or pro bowlers. So I believe in our ability to draft and scout, and that's the one thing that's going to keep us in play here. So if it wasn't for that, Mark, I would say that we're completely done. But because we have this ability to scout and get guys in that fit our system, I feel like we'll be back in 3 years.
listen, this is my prediction for the Eagles, man.
Yeah.
The Eagles, this is hey man, this
A
is
Rod to the Steelers is crazy, bro.
but
Sorry.
this is what I see. That's not going to work, by the way.
It's
Um,
not. It's not. I agree with you, Mark. Go
Mike
ahead.
Tomlin, Mike Tomlin will punch A Rod in the face
Go
before if that happens, you will literally see a head coach fight a starting QB.
Well, forget about just the head coach. Sorry. He lets them be themselves there in Pittsburgh. Players are going to be speaking out before it even gets to that. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
but listen, 100% Eagles. This is my path to Miles Garrett. Uh, our
Yeah.
first this year, our third next year, or our first this year, our third next year, or our second next year, and Bryce Huff.
Yeah.
And that's where I would be with it. Now, I could possibly go to our first this year, our third this year, and Bryce Huff. But you know what I mean? Like that, but my starting negotiation would be our first this year, third next year, Bryce Huff.
Bro, they said it didn't come up with a time for the break. Just know it's gonna be early, bro. That shit gonna be noon until 4. Like you
Just know
just
your
be
ass
there.
need to be just know your ass need to
Just
be
be
out.
there, bro. Get up early in the morning and go downtown, bro. First off, you know where the parade's gonna be. You done been through one already. Like, just go ahead and be there, man. Like,
Are we
like
gonna let Sweat walk? Um,
you have. Well, I'm not gonna say you have to, but you can.
yeah, you can if you get Miles Garrett, you certainly can let Sweat
Like,
walk.
it's worth it. Like, there's so much positive that could come from y'all letting him walk. Like, dude, that's to me, that's not a concern to me. Um, does it take something away? Yes. the amount of players that you have everywhere, it's not going to impact the team that much. And especially if you have the ability, if it allows you the ability to go after a Miles Garrett, you have to let him walk, right? Um, yeah, but that's what I'll say. Real quick. Oh man. So the A Rod to Pittsburgh thing. The last comment I have about that is y'all think he gonna get along with the NFL's YN? You think you think the relationship between him and George Pickens gonna be? Look, man, I done seen enough of George Pickens just in this season alone to let you know that this relationship ain't gonna work. Like George Pickens, if he wasn't as good as he was, he would have been cut based on his behavior. I'm just gonna say that right now. If you just go to YouTube right now and just look at George Pickens being disruptive, bro, and the amount of footage that's out there of him just being an absolute menace is just too there's too much of it. Aaron Rodgers is not going for the pouting. He's not going for like. There's no way that this marriage could work if he ends up
Yo,
with this.
real quick, Troy. I dog when the Super Bowl ended, gunfire started going off. I went to bed, dog. I went to bed. Now, the first Super Bowl, the first time we won, me and my cousin went out. We ran outside. We was banging pots and pans on his block. Everybody was happy, joyful. We immediately got in the car and went down Broad Street and rode down Broad Street and had a fantastic time. The energy was so good in that first Super Bowl. Nobody was on any YN shit. Nobody was on any malicious shit.
The Lions are different in Philly these days, though.
Yeah, everybody. No, but here's the thing: that first Super Bowl was a relief valve for the entire city. The first one was a relief valve. Like it felt like the air found like we could finally breathe. And when I tell you this, like people were spreading family ashes at the parade. Like that's how real
That's
it
crazy.
was.
Yeah.
That's how real it was for Eagles fans. They were spreading their family ashes at the parade because that's how much we bleed for the Eagles, and that's how much it meant to all of us. But the energy for this one felt different. And I said to myself, I'm not going outside because that that joy energy and that brotherly love energy didn't feel the same in this one. This one felt like how people act in every other city. Like the first time there was one window broken, and that was a Macy's window that was broken by accident. Like in the whole city, and the it gets like a lot of people, and you only have one window broken. No cars flipped or none of
That's
that.
amazing. That's amazing. No cars on fire, flipped over. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's amazing.
this
No
one,
light poles knocked down. Well, I'm not gonna say no light poles knocked down, but you get what I'm
yeah.
saying.
But no, this one though, we have people knocking over light poles, purposely smashing windows, doing too much. Like people shooting guns off in the air in the middle of a crowd. Like it's just wild. Like this was not the same energy. And I knew to stay away from it.
He
But
said, "I'm staying by his side." Yo,
yeah, I knew
yep.
to stay away from it. But I will be going to the parade because that's daytime. That's daytime, police around, barricades and everything. Now granted, the police were around that night, but they can't be everywhere. Dog, this is something that I saw on the news and I thought this was kind of crazy. The police van is outside. Motherfuckers climbed on top of the police van and started It started jumping up and down and doing wild stuff. Police is in the car. Like like the lights is going off and everything. It's like what is happening? What is happening?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
anyway,
That's stay inside energy. That's
yes.
definitely stay the fuck inside energy. Like, yeah.
Yeah, dog. Now, like that, like I said, this is stuff like that's standard stuff. So a lot of it is standard stuff that happens in every city after a championship.
That's standard stuff that happens in every city, but every city don't have YNs like it.
Right.
Like that's in I hate to use the terminology, but that's the only thing that really explains the difference. Like, you know what I'm saying? So we already got people out there wilding and doing shit for clout and doing shit for no reason. Um, in that type of lawless environment, it's there's an exponentially greater chance of things of that nature happening
Right.
intentionally. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you want to stay away from it. You want to stay away from that. Intentionally, unintentionally, don't matter. It's just like you said, when people start popping off shots, randomly in the air in the middle of a crowd, it's time to go home.
Yeah. Like Doug, like we had the first time we had the minivan windows open, people were hopping into the minivan and just riding for half a block and then getting out. That's how cool it was the first
Yeah,
time. This I was like, nope, staying away from this.
yeah, yeah. Well, I'll tell you that, man. You plan on going to the parade? Be safe, Mark. Take care of yourself. I know your antenna's gonna be up, so I don't worry about you too much, Mark. But I'm still gonna tell you to be safe.
Yeah.
You enjoy the championship. Go out there and go ahead and celebrate, man. Y'all deserve it, man. As fans, I'm saying, not as a team. As fans, y'all deserve it, man. Y'all deserve the first one. So yeah, you talk about great organizations that like there's a lot of crappy organizations that haven't got a Super Bowl, and it's because they're crappy organizations. But to see some of the greater organizations that haven't gotten a Super Bowl, for you guys to get that one with Nick Foles, that was a big deal. As an NFL fan, to finally see that y'all got it, because y'all, I believe that y'all have been a pretty good organization compared to a lot of the organizations around that just for whatever reason hadn't been able to get over the hump. So this is y'all second one. Cool. I think y'all deserve it as a fan base. So I hope that everybody out there in Philly gets to enjoy this Super Bowl to the fullest extent without having to worry about injury or anything crazy happening to them while they're downtown enjoying the parade.
Yeah. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Hopefully it stay that way. But
yeah,
all right, man. Y'all have a blessed one. Thank you for watching. Sean has a game to get into right now, actually.
yeah.
Tune into his YouTube or his Twitch or whatever. You know what I'm saying? You go on stream, right?
I I I am going to stream for my own purposes, but yes, I will be
Yeah.
streaming.
Yeah, so tune into his YouTube. You can either watch him get his ass bust or watch him bust somebody's ass. We'll see how it
Yeah,
goes.
we gonna find out. We gonna find out.
But yeah, he got a Madden game and for the divisional round coming up. Now the question is he going to be Tom Brady and lose, or is he going to be Patrick Mahomes and win? Which one is it? Because this is divisional round, baby. Tom Brady has lost the divisional round.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes has never lost.
What's the stream? Agent Zero plays.
Hey,
Type it in as one. Type it in as one. Agent Zero plays. You'll find it on YouTube. Real quick.
let's share it on our eye test shit.
Yeah, I can share. I can do that. I just want to be very clear though. He's saying that's divisional round. I want y'all to know that I'm playing against the second best, or maybe even the best player in the league. That's why I'm playing in the divisional round. So that's the situation. So we're gonna see how it goes. I can't say that I played him the best out of everybody in the league because I lost to him. by like 3 the last time I played him, and somebody actually beat him in a Super Bowl. But I can say confidently that I probably
Somebody
played him in like
smacked him in the Super Bowl. He
yeah,
got
somebody smacked him bad in the Super Bowl. It was like 41-14. But other than that, he hadn't really lost to nobody. So like me playing, I think I've played him the closest or the best, second best out of everybody in the league. So wish me luck. We'll see how it goes now. I be in there watching film, buddy. I'm what's his name from Miami, from the Miami Heat. Who's their coach? I don't know why I'm drawing a blank right now.
uh
Somebody will
some-
say it here.
uh it's with an S.
Yeah, I know. I'm man, this is terrible. I'm drawing a blank.
I want to say Spags because
I know we've been talking about Spaggers all night, so that's what's throwing me off, man.
yeah.
Um,
Eric.
Spolstra. Yeah, I'm Spolstra with the film right now. You know what I'm saying? I've been digging in the archives. You know what I'm saying? That's how I played him close last time. Paid very close attention to what he was doing. You know what I'm saying? I'm Eric Spolstra with the film right now. So let's see if it pays off. He might just execute better.
All right.
I got an actual job. You know what I'm saying? I got kids. You know what I'm saying? I can't be out here grinding like these other Madden cats.
All right, guys.
But all right,
Appreciate it. Peace.
peace.